At the top stories this hour. 6 people are killed and 8 others wounded after Palestinian gunmen opened fire at a bus stop in northern Jerusalem. One of the deadliest attacks in years. Police say 2 attackers were neutralized at the scene, while Hamas praises the assault without claiming responsibility. Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz warns Hamas to release hostages and lay down arms or face destruction of Gaza and its own annihilation. His message comes after President Donald Trump issues what he calls a last warning to Hamas. Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez announces 9 measures against Israel, including an arms embargo and a ban on ships carrying fuel for its army, saying they aim to stop the genocide in Gaza. Israeli Foreign Minister fires back, accusing Spain of anti-Semitism and declaring the Deputy PM persona non grata. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says he supports US tariffs on countries continuing trade with Russia, calling the idea right in an interview with ABC News. His comments come as Prime Minister Narendra Modi attends a summit in China alongside Vladimir Putin, while the Trump administration prepares new sanctions. South Korean Foreign Minister Cho Hyun travels to the United States to address the fallout from the mass arrest of Korean workers in Georgia. Seoul says a deal has been reached to free about 300 detainees from a Hyundai LG battery plant, with plans to fly them home this week. At least 16 protesters were killed as Nepal's police used rubber bullets, tear gas and water cannons to disperse demonstrators against a social media ban. Police said about 100 people, including officers, are receiving treatment. An Australian woman is jailed for life with a 33-year minimum for murdering 3 relatives and trying to kill another with a toxic mushroom meal. The judge calls the 2023 poisonings the worst category of crime, noting her elaborate cover-up and failed attempts to poison her husband. Norwegians cast ballots on the final day of parliamentary election, dominated by rising living costs and international turmoil. Polls show the ruling Labour Party and its left-wing allies narrowly holding a majority with 88 seats, down from 100 in 2021. Now, our top story today. We start in the Middle East, where at least 6 people have been killed as attackers opened fire at the Ramot junction in northern Jerusalem. 2 attackers opened fire and then was shot dead by a soldier and an armed civilian at the scene. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu arrived at the scene of the shooting. Let's listen in to his statements.
נרדף וכיתור של הכפרים שמהם באו המרצחים, ואנחנו נשיג את כל מי שסייע באדם, כל מי ששילח אותם, ואנחנו ננקוט בצעדים קשים עוד יותר.
Let's listen in to eyewitnesses and what they say about the attack.
כמובן מלאה בהמולה של אנשים, פתאום מתחיל לשמוע צרור יריות, בהתחלה קטן ופתאום הוא התגבר ואנשים מסתכלים אחד על השני, מנסים להבין מה קורה ולא מבינים מה קורה. ורק אולי אחרי 2-3 שניות פתאום מישהו צעק פיגוע ואנשים התחילו לרוץ. תוך כדי אני רואה אנשים נופלים או נחבטים תוך כדי מבריחה, וראיתי בחזור אישה שהתעלפה פתאום ועוד אישה אחת שהייתה עם דם ודברים כאלה, ואז אחר כך חזרתי לזירה ואז ראיתי באמת 2 גופות מצערות שבאמת גרמו לי פתאום להבין שהיה פה אירוע בסדר גודל מאוד מאוד גדול, וברוך השם שניצלתי ממנו.
The police have said that the attack has left at least 20 others injured. Let's listen in to what medics described the rescue operations for the incident.
בסביבות השעה 10:14 התקבל דיווח במגן דוד אדום על אירוע פח"ע בצומת רמות. אני במקביל הייתי פה בירידה, תוך כדי שיש ירי, אני מבין שיש אירוע חריג. כונן של הצלה ללא גבולות שהיה ממש בזירה פרץ בגל ודיווח שיש פיגוע. הגעתי במהירות שיא למקום, הגעתי ראשון, נתתי טיפול רפואי מציל חיים לפצועים. לצערנו יש מספר הרוגים.
Here at the scene in Jerusalem at the Ramot Junction, a little while ago, 2 terrorists came here with guns and started shooting at civilians at the bus stop, and they were on the bus.
Joined by Shruti Dasgupta. She is an international affairs expert and she joins us live from New Delhi to discuss today's top story. Shruti, today's events have been unprecedented in Jerusalem. 6 killed and 8 others wounded, some reports are saying, by Palestinian gunmen. What are your thoughts on this incident? How uncommon is this in the midst of course, what is going on, the Gaza war? And what has been your view on the statements coming out of world leaders, foreign bodies around the world, condemning this attack, but also urging a ceasefire in Gaza, also linked to this? What are your thoughts on this?
Greetings, Thanos. Thank you so much for inviting me. This is a horrific attack, definitely. It has caused needless loss of life. And it comes right at the feet of when Donald Trump has issued a last warning to Gaza and Hamas to go ahead with the ceasefire, do the trade of prisoners versus hostages, and find us a resolution to this war, which has gone on for 700 days. So something like this, at the feet of a final declaration, final warning, is kind of like poking the bear. You're telling Donald Trump and the others that you can do what you want, we will continue to hunt down Jews, and that's exactly the narrative that the world is going to hear now. Because apart from this, I believe there were 2 projectiles launched from the Gaza Strip itself earlier, a few hours ago, before this incident, and unrelated. But it shows that, and that was fired by a new militant organization called the Islamic Jihad. So this is what we've all been trying to understand for very long, that you cannot delete the ideology of Hamas. You can probably suppress the current version of them that is functioning there, but the ideology continues to stay forward. Jerusalem, on the large and whole, has been quiet for all the 700 days. But this kind of an attack says that it's going to come down to every shore, every place where there is a Jew population present. And this should tell the world that they are not looking at just an isolated problem of Gaza. They're looking at a generic anti-Jew, anti-Semitism problem, which is now going to be sold to every single Muslim around the world, that they need to hate. This is the ideology of hate that they are allowing by permitting the idea of Palestine and permitting the idea of Hamas being innocent. Gazans are innocent, but nobody is holding Hamas responsible. We have seen videos of Hamas dragging Gazans around, killing them for aid, killing them for other purposes. All of it remains unconfirmed because the IDF does not allow reporters and to go forth and verify this. So what we have to depend on right now is our own intellect to see that when a ceasefire ultimatum was issued by foreign powers, and Israel has themselves come forth and say, do it now, or we shall not be responsible for how many lives are lost. At this particular juncture, another war front has opened, and this shows that they're not ready to give up, and they will take us down to the last man and probably the last Jew possible.
Okay, Shruti, do stay with us. We have some further updates from the region. The Israeli army has stated that Israeli strikes hit eastern Lebanon on Monday, targeting Hezbollah positions in the Bekaa Valley. Lebanon's state-run national news agency reported 7 strikes in the Hermel region. The Israeli army said their targets included training compounds used by Hezbollah's elite Radwan force, calling them a blatant violation of last November's truce agreement. Israel has continued airstrikes in Lebanon despite the US brokered deal meant to end more than a year of hostilities. The latest attacks come days after Lebanon's government announced that its military would begin implementing a plan to disarm Hezbollah, though no details have been provided in how that will be enforced. We're once again joined by Shruti Dasgupta. Shruti, of course, this peace agreement between Hezbollah and Israel was agreed last year in November, yet Israel continues to keep striking deep inside Lebanon. Why is Israel allowed to do this?
I don't see how Hezbollah is still allowed to exist. Their very existence is a provocation to Israeli government, because even the Christian government in Lebanon is asking Hezbollah to cede arms. You've seen how it happened. Their supporters, their lobby of politicians walked out of the parliament when they wanted to put an end to Hezbollah's rule, Hezbollah's as an organization. So an organization based on hate of Jews continues to exist and operate via arms in Lebanon, and Israel is not allowed to strike back at them. So that's something which is very funny. You have to understand that Lebanon was a pluralistic nation before the Palestinians were allowed with open borders into their land, and now we have a very Islamic state of Lebanon, where USA and the other places have Christians from Lebanon seeking asylum because they have been either living for years underground, suppressed under the Hezbollah rule, or face dire death threats at the hands of Hezbollah. So Hezbollah does need to go. It is a very important part. Cutting off Syria was a probable hope that they would probably lessen Hezbollah's might, but it doesn't seem to have worked so far, and therefore Israel continues to interfere.
Yes, and Hezbollah is one of Iran's proxies in southern Lebanon, probably one of, if not its most powerful. Can the Lebanese government realistically disarm the group, or is this just a symbolic statement from Beirut?
It is a symbolic statement. They will never be able to disarm the ideology. As I've just stated for Hamas earlier, this is the same ideology which is anti-Jew. They do not want Jews to be present in the world of Arab. And this is exactly what was preached from 1949 onwards, where the Khomeini of Iran went ahead and said these exact words. They have sown the seeds of hatred in that region against Jews, and they have given birth to Hezbollah, they have given birth to Houthis, they have given birth to Hamas, and this is exactly what is going to come forth. They will change their names. You're going to ask them to surrender, they'll surrender arms, they'll say they do not exist. But then there'll be a new organization, as we've just seen in the Gaza Strip, called like the Islamic Jihad organization that has come out and is now launching projectiles towards Israel. There'll be a new organization. There'll be new ideologies coming forth. It has to stop. Iran has to stop fueling these kind of narratives, arming these people, and only then will Middle East see any kind of peace.
Okay, Shruti Dasgupta, thank you very much for joining us. Pleasure having you on the program. We now move on, and Chinese President Xi Jinping, speaking at the BRICS Leaders Virtual Summit today, urged member states to uphold multilateralism, reject unilateralism and protectionism, and strengthen cooperation among emerging economies. Hosted by the Brazilian President Lula da Silva, the summit brought together leaders of the expanded BRICS group to address global economic challenges, World Trade Organization reform, and regional conflicts. The summit came amid rising US trade tariffs on BRICS members, with Brazil and India recently facing 50% duties. Leaders voiced opposition to unilateral trade measures and discussed reforms to international institutions, including the WTO and UN Security Council. Russian President Vladimir Putin and Indian External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar also took part in the summit. Notably, Brazil chose not to release a unified statement, highlighting the diverse trade approaches among BRICS members. We are now joined by William Yang. He is a China analyst, and he joins us live from Taipei in Taiwan. William, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. Chinese President Xi Jinping has urged BRICS to reject unilateralism and protectionism. Is this mainly a swipe at Washington?
Yes, I think definitely that reference is to the U.S. government's ongoing tariff pressure against countries around the world. And I think China definitely sees a moment and an opening for itself again to unite and rally countries that have been on the receiving end of the tariff pressure from the United States to then form a bloc of its own and try to consolidate its own influence, especially among countries in the global south. And that is obviously, evident through the representation of the countries that are part of the BRICS. And I think this particular message is to double down on the image and the message that he has been repeating since the SCO summit in China last week.
Yes, and of course, with Brazil and India both facing 50% tariffs and both being a member of BRICS, is Washington effectively pushing BRICS members closer together?
Yes, I believe so, because if we remember just a couple months ago, Donald Trump has also warned about having tariffs against BRICS member states. And so I think now there is a growing, I think, consensus among all these countries that the only way for them to actually push back against the United States is to come together and try to find a collective way to actually be able to weather the pressure that is coming from Washington. And I believe that they now see the possibility of that by using the multilateral organizations like BRICS or SCO to actually try to achieve that goal.
William, Brazil as the host declined to issue a unified statement. Why?
I think that is a reflection of the existing divisions that still, are there among all the BRICS member states. Just like SCO, BRICS is a organization that is still loosely aligned on some very ill-defined principles, and there are still a lot of works to do to try to bring all the member states from different parts of the world together and try to implement more concrete policies going forward. And in the past, because of the suspicion among some of the member states, especially between China and India, that has not been possible. But maybe I think this moment, the fact that all the member states are basically on the receiving ends of the pressure coming from the US, and they are unified by the dislike of Donald Trump's policy, that might in fact provide some ground for the larger member states, especially China, India, to actually explore and put forward a vision that might be able to actually bring all the member states on board. But I think as of now, the process is still in negotiation, and I think that is why Brazil didn't put forward a statement following the summit.
William Yang, thank you very much. Pleasure to get your insight, and thank you for taking the time. We now move over to South Asia, where Nepali police says at least 16 people were killed and dozens were injured after protests against Nepal's social media ban turned violent. Demonstrators insisted that they had planned a peaceful march in Kathmandu, but accused police of using excessive force. A television journalist, Shyam Shiretha, was shot with a rubber bullet during clashes at Bhubaneswar and is now being treated at civil hospital. The unrest spread to Prime Minister KP Sharma's Ollie's hometown of Damak, where protesters hurled stones at his house and blocked the east-west highway. Tyres were set ablaze in multiple locations, causing tariff disruptions for more than an hour. Police responded with warning shots as violence escalated in several districts. Okay, we are covering these protests in Nepal, which has seen about 16 people so far being killed. This all comes after a protest on a social media ban turned violent. It seems to have started in the Nepali capital of Kathmandu and seems to have spread to places outside of the capital. We are getting wide reports of journalists being shot with rubber bullets and violence spreading, damage to infrastructure, damage to private property across the region. People are concerned with new laws being passed which would see the likes of social media platforms used across the world like WhatsApp, Facebook, all being banned in Nepal. The government cites misinformation being spread and hate speech. We're now joined by Alok Srivastav, and he's a student in Janakpur, and he joins us from Nepal. Thank you very much for joining us, Alok.
It's my pleasure to join you.
Pleasure having you. I just want to get a little insight in the feeling in the country. Of course, this was meant to be a peaceful protest, Alok, which spiraled into something which has led to the deaths of 16 people. What is the general feeling, both about the violence and, of course, about what started this protest, which is those apps that are used across the world being banned?
Actually, I have also heard that it was first of all, it was going to be a peaceful protest, which was organized by the Gen Z generation, the youth generation of our country. But due to some circumstances, it has turned violent, and we have lost 16 beautiful souls in this protest. This is because due to the social media ban which has been done by the only government in our country, and this protest is also occurring because of the rise of the tremendous corruption which is taking place in Nepal after the formation of the new provinces during the Madhesh movement, which is harming our country a lot. Inflation is rising a lot. The youth has been frustrated, and as we all know that in today's date, many of the Nepalese youth are going to abroad for further studies or for earning money. And right now, the people, due to the recent social media ban, the remote areas, people are facing depression. They are not able to talk with their sons, their family members, due to the recent ban that has been done by our government. And that's why the youth has been frustrated, and protest is taking place in the major cities of the Nepal. It's Kathmandu, it's Birganj, it's Butwal, it's Pokhara, and etc.
Yes, and Alok, so you cannot use your phone on these huge apps like Facebook, like WhatsApp. How does that affect you, and how does that affect your day-to-day lives, the information that you get?
Actually, this is affecting a lot of us because not Facebook or WhatsApp or YouTube. We are not able to open without, people are using VPNs to open this, and it is not only affecting the people to connect with each other, but also affecting the students, because in today's world, every people in colleges or in schools, we have our WhatsApp groups, we watch our YouTube channel for study, and this is affecting us. We can't watch video, we can't talk with our farm relatives or parents which are out of, some of them are abroad. So this is affecting us very much. It is just like a depression. But banning social media is just a political, I think it's just a political stunt by the government, but the real protest is happening because the youth generation has been frustrated, totally frustrated, because of the tremendous corruption that is taken place, especially after the Madhesh movement, which occurred during 2015 or 16, when 7 new provinces, new constitution was formed in Nepal. And in 3 crore population, we have seen, due to the new constitution, new provinces, more politicians have been emerged, and the more the politicians, the more the corruption has been rising a lot.
Alok,
in social media,
Yes, I was wondering, how do the youth now feel about this government which is leading Nepal right now? You obviously mentioned, we know that these protests have been, they've called it Gen Z led. You're telling me that are most of the youth in Nepal feeling this way? And do you see this dying down? Do you see there being any change made into this law?
No, there is, but the government is saying that we are talking with the companies so that we have banned. The government said that we are banning the apps because they should pay the taxes for us. They are not paying the taxes to the government. That's why the government has banned. But this is affecting the students' life, not only students' life, but the whole public life. Because as a Nepal, a small country, there are very big problems in Nepal which are not highlighted by the international medias. In Nepal, I think, and recent data also has emerged that in every household, one people is going abroad to earn money or to stay, and now the people which are going abroad, now we are not able to connect with them through WhatsApp or through any social media account. So this is also making us, it is making the public depressed a lot.
Alok Srivastav, thank you very much for joining us and showing us some brilliant insights there. We will of course bring you all the updates coming out of Nepal as we get them. We now move on, and the UN nuclear watchdog has said that the time is running out to restore full inspections of Iran's nuclear sites. In a meeting in Vienna, the IAEA chief, Rafael Grossi, said that while progress has been made in talks with Tehran, an agreement must be reached within days. The discussions focus on 3 Iranian facilities bombed by the United States and Israel in June, after which Tehran suspended cooperation and required inspections to be approved by its Supreme National Security Council. At the same time, France, Britain and Germany have launched a 30-day snapback process to reimpose UN sanctions unless inspections resume and Iran accounts for its growing stockpile of near weapons-grade uranium. Let's listen in to what he has to say.
Progress has been made. It is my sincere hope that within the next few days, it will be possible to come to a successful conclusion of these discussions in order to facilitate the full resumption of our indispensable work with Iran. The full implementation of the rights and obligations of the agency and Iran under Iran's NPT Safeguards Agreement is indispensable to paving the way towards real improvement in the overall situation. There is still time, but not much. Always enough when there is good faith and a clear sense of responsibility.
Meanwhile, Iran's foreign ministry insists that the talks have been positive, but has rejected any negotiations over its defense capabilities, including its missile program. Here's what Iran's foreign ministry spokesperson had to say on the issue.
جمهوری اسلامی ایران به هیچ عنوان در مورد توانمندی‌ها و ظرفیت‌های دفاعی کشور مذاکره نخواهد کرد. این فکر می‌کنم یک اصل مسلم هست. امروز بیشتر از هر زمانی روشن شده که مردم ایران اجازه نخواهند داد که راجع به ابزارهایی که برای دفاع از کیان ایران، برای دفاع از عزت و استقلال و امنیت ایران لازم هست، به هیچ عنوان در مورد اونها صحبتی نخواهند کرد.